Welcome to DePaul Prep families and students. We're providing some extra bonus content for structuring the scholarship search to help you get started on scholarships now with a formed strategy. My name is Kate Koschel, and I'm going to be running you through some information today. Let me go ahead and screen share. There we go. All right. So today we're going to be talking about contextualizing college costs, scholarship sources, strategies, search engines, and how to retool your essay to fit scholarships. Why are scholarships helpful? Well, one thing is colleges often use them to cut down the average price for a family. So when you see that sticker price on the website for a college, it can be pretty jarring. But many colleges will be sending merit money or need-based scholarships to help reduce that cost. So just as an example, this chart is showing tuition fees, housing, and food for private colleges on average and public colleges on average. And as you can see for the sticker price of what's listed on the website, the average across colleges that are private is $57,000. But once you consider scholarships and grant aid, so the average of grant aid offered at private colleges is over $24,000, bringing the net price down to $32,000 for a family. And that's before any outside scholarships. For public colleges, the cost could be a little bit less. So 20 to 7, about like $30,000 with $9,000 in grant aid per student. As you notice, it's a little bit less. Public colleges tend not to have those huge endowments for merit money, but they still can give some. Bringing the net price down to $20,000. So scholarships are a beneficial thing for all families to reduce the cost of college. So how much is it going to cost your family? Well, you won't have your financial aid offers just yet from your colleges as we're still waiting for admissions decisions, but you have some tools you can use to calculate how much things might cost for your family. One we've talked about in our financial aid presentations is those net price calculators, which all colleges are required to have. So you can go on each college's website of interest from your students list, Google net price calculator for XYZ college, plug in your information, and then you'll get an idea of how much tuition, food, and the housing might cost for your family. Additionally, we really like the website Merit More. It was created by a mom who was trying to figure out which colleges might give the most merit money to her student. So you can plug in your student's GPA and test scores if they'd like to use them, and then kind of get an idea per region or by state which colleges are going to give the most merit money. So that's academic money, not related to financial need at all. Additionally, I really like the Big J Educational Consulting website. This consulting company really enjoys using data in their college counseling, and I do as well. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So they have an interactive tool called the I can't talk, I'm so sorry. Domestic Undergraduate Need-Based and Merit Aid Class of 2027 tool. They have additional reports on there as well. So you can use this to compare colleges. And just as an example, I'll show you how it works. So I put in 4 schools to compare. And as you can see, if you're just kind of looking for base price for cost of attendance, Michigan State is 60,000, University of Michigan on the top end at 75. And then Nebraska for an out-of-state student is 46. So that's going to be your cheapest out-of-state option. For U of I, their in-state tuition is room and board, fees, et cetera, is $33,000. So that's going to be the best price because it's in our state. But the funny thing about Nebraska-Lincoln is they have tuition reciprocity with Illinois students if they're at a certain academic level. So you might actually be able to have a $28,000 a year college based on those cost savings because they'd consider you an in-state student if you meet criteria. Additionally, some fun metrics are total percent of need met. So if a family has some need-based requirements for college when they're looking at costs, 92% of students at University of Michigan actually have their need met. So even though Michigan costs a lot, they're really friendly to students who have income needs to pay for college. You can also see the average merit aid awarded to non-need undergrad undergraduates, and University of Nebraska-Lincoln provides the most merit aid for students. And you can think geographically, just because of where they're situated, they just are going to cost less. So that's something to consider in your college list. Last metric, percent of non-need undergrad. So that's a student who has no financial need, but can receive academic money. And Nebraska-Lincoln, again, is going to provide more students with non-need based or that merit money than other colleges, with Michigan State coming in second. So you can pop in different schools from your college list for your student and get a needs analysis and compare them. So, our biggest piece of information, advice, guidance right now is to explore scholarship sources now. Do it now. In this kind of lull between the fury of sending all your college applications in and getting those decisions back. Scholarship deadlines are passing. Additionally, a lot of times students will come to us in April or May and say, "Oh, I really want to go to this college, but they didn't give me enough money." But they never explored scholarships. And at the end of the school year, most of the scholarships are all done, deadlines pass. So explore now. Where can you explore? So you can go inside the university's website, financial aid and admissions office at that college. Colleges also have departmental or academic program scholarships for like music or business, etc. For example, University of Iowa, Tippie School of Business has scholarships just for those students. And then outside organizations, there's private organizations that give scholarships and state and local government. And these scholarships can often be used for outside costs, like books or travel as well. As far as private scholarship strategies, you want to start very hyper local. That is where you're going to have the biggest chances of winning. So you can check with your student's employer, your employer, unions, community organizations, your religious institution, some place where you volunteer, and any other close community ties for scholarships. Next, you can explore locally for county organizations like Elks or Rotary Clubs, small government organizations like our Alderman, like for North Center or Roscoe Village, or city or county nonprofits. Next, you're going to move to state level, so you can explore the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, state nonprofits, and government bodies like the Illinois Association of College Admissions Counselors, which gives scholarships in February. Pardon me. Or there's also the Illinois School Counseling Association that gives scholarships as well. You can examine national scholarships. There's a ton of those for Amazon, McDonald's, Foot Locker, and national nonprofits. And those ones are going to be the hardest to win because you're competing with people across the country, but all are worth exploring. As far as college-specific scholarships and grants, their merit scholarships are determined by GPA, with or without a test score, depending on the school's policy. And some scholarships have automatic benchmarks, where others are discretionary, and the school kind of gets to decide what they think as far as who should get the scholarships. As far as those colleges that might require test scores, a lot of them tend to be in the South. So ones that require test scores anyway, like Ole Miss does not require test scores, but being where it's situated, they want you to have a 25 or above to receive merit money. So that's something to look into each school's policy. If you don't see an automatic scholarship, then you might want to dig in and see how they can qualify for those benchmarks. Some may also require additional application materials and sometimes include interviews, especially for very large scholarships like full tuition or full ride scholarships. Stetson University in Florida is an example that offers 2 full ride scholarships, but the student has to do additional materials and needs an interview. Whereas need-based scholarships is determined by your family's income, and either on the free application for federal student aid, which opens December 1st, or the CSS profile, which is required at a lot of selective schools like University of Michigan. CSS profiles are open now and their deadlines are a little earlier. So please take a look at that if you have any CSS schools. And if you're uncertain, you can actually look at the CSS website and see what schools are on there. But your student is probably also getting communication that they need to complete it. Students can also get scholarships for special talents or circumstances. So if they're an artist or a dancer, they may audition and get some additional money as well. And the really optimistic, amazing news is for college applicants, 2 out of 3 of our college applicants receive merit scholarship offers. And I would say most of the students at DePaul College Prep receive some sort of merit offer from their schools. This is just an example of what that might look like or what a letter could look like for an automatic merit scholarship. So it's from DePaul. And it's saying you're automatically considered once you apply for one of four scholarships. For the Catholic Heritage one, our friends at DePaul, Marquette, Loyola are really great with this. So if your student has a 3.7 GPA or above, they get $20,000 cut off their tuition, housing, and food. So that's a big cost savings right off top that's automatically given to them just for going to DePaul College Prep and having a 3.7. You can also cross-reference merit offers with published information on the college's website. Mizzou is really awesome because they're very transparent. So this is their scholarship chart. This one includes test scores, but they also have a test optional chart. But I could see, for example, once I apply, I'm already automatically being considered for $8,500 if I have a 3.5 and 32, and a higher GPA. If I have a 3.7, I might even get 21,500. So that's a lot of money saved. These are examples of institutional search sites for colleges. Many colleges use the same type of portal, like a Scholarship Universe or an Academic Works, so you might see some similarities. And we really want to start looking at those now, even if your student has not been admitted. For example, University of Arizona has a presidential scholarship with a deadline of December 1st that students can apply to with a certain GPA. DePaul University has a ton of scholarships. So all of the colleges pretty much are going to have something like this, where even if they're not admitted yet, they can explore and start applying and make a profile once they have a portal. University of Wisconsin, for example, notes that students should apply for scholarships now, even if they don't know if they're admitted or not, which seems sort of funny. But the deadline tends to be December, January, February. And a lot of times students get their admissions decisions, and soon after that, the scholarships are due. So it's a good idea to kind of resource out what you might want to apply for. And students can fill out those portals as long as they have their logins for their universities. This is just an example of what an application might look like. This is Academic Works for Michigan State. They will ask you some of the same information from Common App, so it should be relatively easy. And then there might be some additional situations where they could get money. For this one, for example, the family, if they're in the military or work for Farm Bureau Insurance, they might be able to get extra money. And then they were going to want to list their extracurriculars, and they can kind of just copy and paste from the Common App. Additionally, the average chances of winning a private scholarship is 1 in 8. So not as high, but still quite reasonable. And common scholarship criteria for private scholarships, you can think about your child as a multifaceted individual because pretty much anything is scholarshipable, whether they're left-handed or tall or Muslim or Catholic or biracial, or they do community service. So this chart kind of shows you everything you want to consider when you're laying out, okay, what could my child get scholarships for and what kind of private scholarships should I look for? If your family has military service history, like a grandparent in the military, there's scholarships for that. Scholarships just for your state of residence, scholarships if you have LD, like a learning disability or autism, your choice of college, your employer. So students who might work at Burger King or Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, there's scholarships for them. First generation talents. So you just want to kind of lay out everything your child has to offer, and you might be able to find a scholarship for all of those pieces. These are the items that you want to collect before starting the scholarship process, and most of them should be on hand from the college application process. So your GPA, transcript, and any test scores if you would use them or if they're required. List of activities and leadership, community service hour documentation, which students have access to in their portal. Portfolio for talent-based scholarships like art or writing or dance, maybe some videos of that or pieces of material for art. A resume can be really helpful so that you don't have to keep writing the same information. And if student has no work experience, they can actually use an activities resume, just listing what they did in high school. An essay and or video. So some scholarships only require a 2-minute video, which is awesome and easy use of your time. Letters of recommendation. A student can reuse their college application recommendations as long as they kind of talk to the recommender and ask them to adjust the rec so it says I recommend the student for the scholarship as opposed to a college. And sometimes recommenders will also be sent forms. So the student would want to connect with that recommender beforehand to make sure they know a form is coming. A picture or a headshot might be asked for. And financial documents in some cases for very large scholarships or need-based scholarships could be required. So that could be W-2s or tax information if they're trying to assess if you really meet the income threshold. College acceptances and financial aid offers sometimes are required as well. And you want to consider, does the student have to be nominated for the scholarship, which a school official would often do. Some strategies is approaching your scholarship search. First, you want your student to identify their eligibility. So all those demographic criteria that we talked about before, like what kind of things can I look for? Like, for example, my family has ties to the Daughters of the American Revolution. Then find a scholarship. They exist. So you want to think about all the cool, unique attributes of your child, and then kind of start with each attribute and look for those. It could be as simple as I'm a boy going into business and there's scholarships for that, or I'm a woman going into STEM and there's scholarships for that. Then you want to identify and collect the needed components. We have a scholarship organizer tool you can use and copy, so you can organize yourself through that, so you can kind of keep track of deadlines, how many you've applied to, did you get a response? You can reuse recommendations and make sure you're requesting any extra forms that you need. And then thinking about the ease of winning. So we talked about doing hyperlocal, local, then state, then national. Students can apply for no essay scholarships, but they tend to have way more competition. They can be winnable. If you would like to do no essay scholarships, I would suggest using Big Future. That one is actually winnable, and we've had students here win. And FastWeb, on occasion, I've had students win a sweepstakes scholarship on there. But in general, that would be something you want your students to do when they're like don't really have the brain power to put full effort into scholarships, like they're too tired or they had a long day. But when they have a little more like mental stamina, then they would want to do those hyperlocal or local ones because those are going to be more winnable. You want to apply for as many as possible. So I've had students apply upwards to 50 plus scholarships and made their own full ride. It's hard, but it tends to be less daunting once you get started because you can just repeat the same information, sort of like the job search process when you change your cover letter a little bit and keep using the same resume. As many as possible will provide you with better outcomes than just doing like one or two. And you can utilize additional scholarship databases. We have that in our DePaul Prep Scholarship Organizer, where we have strategic scholarships, but we also have a page that has scholarship search engines you can use. So I'm a big fan of Going Merry because it shows how competitive a scholarship is, how much time it might take. But there's additional ones on there like scholarships.com, bold.org is interesting, Scholarship America, but they can use additional scholarship databases to crowdsource more scholarships. And we're just going to touch a little bit on common scholarship essay topics. So a lot of these are going to be repetitive from what your student already wrote for the college application process. So what do you want to do after high school? What are your goals? What was your high school experience like? They could be topic specific, like current events, or talking about things like diplomacy or democracy or freedom of speech, depending on the organization's mission and vision. A challenge you faced and how you grew. Being involved in your community. So there's scholarships regarding stopping hunger or volunteering. Social issues, social justice, community service. And then you might be talking about leadership experiences that you've had in high school. So again, these are very repeatable and you can sort of modify your original essay to fit the prompt of the college. So here's some examples of retooling an essay you already wrote and turning it into a scholarship essay. So Common App personal statement has a topic about the lessons you take from obstacles you encounter. So facing a challenge, setback, or failure. Whereas this ideal scholarship, for example, has a very similar prompt. So it says in your educational or personal life, how have you met the challenge of adversity? So very similar, you can modify your original prompt. Now, this is another example. So CU Boulder asks you, what do you hope to study and why? So we often tell students to start with a personal story about themselves. And then Lupita Tariff Scholarship asks, how did you become interested in your chosen field and where do you hope it takes you? This one is very common and super usable. So when you're thinking about your child, this is just an example. So Vinny's kind of trying to consider like what is it about him that could be scholarshipable. So he's got a 3.5 GPA, plays football, soccer. He paints, he's Italian, he has a learning disability, he's Catholic, he does esports, and he's tall. There's a scholarship for all of these things. So that's why you kind of want to lay it out, like what characteristics about my child could possibly win them money. Other things you want to consider is when you're applying for scholarships, if you win, is it renewable or am I just going to get the scholarship one time? For colleges, a lot, what GPA do I need to maintain eligibility? So you don't want your student to dip down past the eligibility GPA because then they would lose their scholarship. So you want to make sure you understand the stipulations for that. Any college where your student is in the top 20% of admitted applicants, there's a higher chance that they're going to get more merit money. So that's something to consider as you're shaking out your list and thinking about regular decision applications. Um, do not pay for scholarship applications. I've only seen maybe one legit scholarship application where they asked you for a few dollars for a processing fee, but the goal is that you are not paying for something, but you are winning something. So we should not have to pay for scholarship applications, and those tend to be illegitimate. Are there scholarships available in all 4 years of college? Yes. So students tend to kind of drop off from the scholarship process after the first year, but there's actually more scholarships available in freshman, sophomore, junior year, especially when your student has decided on their major. There's a lot of departmental options for them. So have them hang out in the scholarship office, financial aid office to get that extra money and have some cost savings. And that is our structuring the scholarship presentation. We'll send out the slides as well, so you can get the resources that are linked in here. And then you can always access our scholarship database on the DePaul Prep website under academics and college counseling. So we would love if you use that. I will also start sending out scholarship bulletins to students that they can access, especially before things like Thanksgiving break and holiday break, so that they can have some of that free time used for scholarships. So if you need questions answered or you need some assistance, you can reach out to your individual college counselor. We're all very experienced at scholarships. And thank you for watching this and thank you for your time. And that is all for today. Thank you so much.